The San Diego State athletic director says that it's either the Pac-12 or the Big 12. Which one will it be? And who benefits more from having San Diego State in their conference? How does that factor into what kind of deal the Aztecs will get and can make? Also, the latest on the Pac-12 television sweepstakes, if you will, if it's the right word to use for it. And also a few thoughts on the NFL draft, where the Big 12 has the fourth most players taken of any conference in America. All that and more coming up on the day's show.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Josh Neighbors here, Locked On Big 12 podcast. Today it is the 1st of May, 2023. We are brought to you all by the FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. Make every moment matter more with FanDuel and FanDuel.com/locked-on. Today, you guys can find out the deals going on there. Make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On Big 12 on YouTube. We hit the milestone of over 4,000 subscribers last month. We're now at 4,100, over 4,100 right now. Hoping that you guys can help us push that up further. Let's get this thing hopefully to around 5,000 to over 5,000 before football season starts. We've got May, June, July, and into August to do it. So please subscribe if you all have not yet already. Tell your friends, tell your kids, take your kids' YouTube accounts and subscribe. Leave comments as well. Leave likes. That helps the video get around and get it to more fans. And once again, I love the questions you all send. We're now doing weekly Q&As, specifically around the latest on conference realignment, Big 12 expansion, all of those things. They're happening every Thursday. So make sure you guys check that out. Every Thursday, we'll have a live chat happening where you guys can ask questions. Find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, all of those places. And once again, on YouTube, find us on Twitter at LOBig12. You guys can find me personally at Josh Neighbors _. All right, so today's show, going to talk about San Diego State because we got a piece of news over the weekend, and kind of news, kind of not, but we heard from the San Diego State athletic director. He told, J.D. Wicker is his name. This is from Dennis Dodd. He said that he told Seth Davis, quote, one or the other, Big 12 or Pac-12, is going to happen. We're excited for the opportunity, and we've done a lot of work to prepare for that, end quote. So this is, some people say, well, is it news? We thought it was going to, kind of shake out this way. This is news, right? This is news that the athletic director of San Diego State is saying, look, it's going to be one or the other. We are going to be going to the Big 12 or the Pac-12. It's going to happen. And so while there has been a lot of posturing by multiple folks on a lot of different stances in the last years or so, when it comes to the realignment game, when it comes to the expansion game, when it comes to positioning where you and your school are compared to everybody else, this is a legitimately, this feels legitimate, I think is the right way to say this, right? When a San Diego State AD says, look, it's going to be one of those two. Because the thing is, like, if it's not, it's kind of embarrassing if it is. And I don't think the Big 12 or the Pac-12, who are kind of your bidders, are under any illusion that there's somebody else involved, right? It's going to be one of those two. So this is, kind of an obvious statement, if you will, but also it's a significant one, hearing the athletic director say, look, it's going to be one of these two places. It's going to be, we're going to go to one of these two conferences. And so it then gets to, all right, well, which one is it going to be? So for San Diego State, I think they want to take their time with it. And I've mentioned this before. I will say it again. I think if you're SDSU and you have your druthers, you go to the Pac-12. Why? Well, geographically, it makes a lot of sense, right? This is a conference that is based in the West Coast. Obviously, schools in your time zone, Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford, 6 other schools are directly in the line, that West Coast line. You got Arizona State down below. Then also you've got Utah and Colorado out there to your east, right? And so you kind of fit in that footprint, and it makes sense for you. And you are going to help kind of help, I guess. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but in some ways help the Pac-12 reclaim some of the southwest part of the West Coast, right? Southern California, because they have lost that with UCLA and USC leaving. Now, once again, folks have debated, hey, how strong really were those brands? Kind of only strong when they are good type situation, which I understand. But that is in the plans for them. But who would benefit more? And I think the Big 12 is the answer. Not saying this is the right move. I'm just saying I think the Big 12 would benefit more because the one place they are not yet is all the way in the Western time zone. They're not all the way there permanently. I know people talk about Arizona, the time change and whatnot. The Big 12 is not all the way there yet, right? And so adding this school, San Diego State, would help them go out west. Is it priority number one? It could be, but I think we know that it seems like at this point, San Diego State is going to wait to see what the Pac-12 can offer them. And then, maybe see what the Big 12 offers them. And in that case, they can get kind of the best deal possible to come over, right? Because I think the expectation here with the San Diego State situation is they're not going to get a full share, right? They're not going to be getting, in the Big 12's case, $31.7 million, whatever it is, whatever the final dollar comes in. They are not going to be getting $31.7 million per year from a television deal. They will not. They will probably not get that from the Pac-12 because the Pac-12 schools might not even get that. So if you're not getting those numbers, then, you have to think, all right, well, what's the best way to get the highest number possible is take the two parties that are offering you something and put them against each other and say, all right, who wants us more? Now, once again, I think if the Pac-12 gets an offer, even if it's like, San Diego State's going to get $1 million or $2 million less, they'd still go to the Pac-12. If the Pac-12's offer is insufficient, or, it's like, hey, you guys will be making $9 million a year, whatever, I might think again about it, right? If the Big 12 says, like, look, we can offer you, the television companies have said you can come on board for 12, 13, 14, $15 million a year, work your way up to a full member, then great. That is something that's possible. But I think if you're San Diego State, you're going to wait to see what the offers are before you make your decision on whether or not you are going to go either place. Totally fair to think so. But kind of back to the point now, and we'll keep hitting on this point about which conference would be better off. I think it's the Big 12. I think it's the Big 12 because their desire to expand out there. Quick word from the folks at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Everybody, FanDuel is number one sportsbook in America. You guys can make every moment more now with the FanDuel Sportsbook. You guys can, they got great daily promotions, Dinger Tuesdays, all those things. They've got the Bill Simmons promos for parlays right now in the NBA playoffs. You guys get paid instantly. It's secure the way that they do it. It's also got the best interface, in my opinion, pound for pound, of any sports betting app out there. It's easy to sign up. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. And you guys will be able to sign up free. It's easy to sign up, easy to do. And also you get up to $1,000 back on your first bet if it misses, a no sweat first bet courtesy of the folks at the FanDuel Sportsbook. So go ahead and do that today. FanDuel.com, make every moment more. So why does the Big 12 make more sense? The Big 12 makes more sense. Well, it makes more sense. Why is the Big 12 achieve more at that? Because once again, they get out West Coast. They get that fourth time slot. When you've got teams going from coast to coast, when you've got UCF and San Diego State in the same conference, and West Virginia too, you now have the ability to have games kick off at 11 a.m. And here's the thing. You can have games kick off at 11 a.m. In Central Time, because that's kind of the way this conference works. You can have games kick off at 11 a.m. between West Virginia and UCF. Or you could do, UCF and San Diego State. You could have then a 12 p.m. East Coast time, so 9 o'clock, or let's do 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central kickoff time between San Diego State and UCF. Or you could do SDSU and BYU. Right? That's the opportunity that you're offering. You could do, teams kind of the same part of the country, your teams across the country in all the different time slots. Now, are they going to NFL it and make San Diego State, play the early games? Look, it's going to be up to the television folks with the way that they select the games and whatnot. That kind of the selection will be up to them. So hopefully you wouldn't see that too often, but it'd happen occasionally. But for the Big 12 to offer that, it goes back to a point that I've been hitting on a lot in recent memory, is that the value for the Big 12, we talk about adding Pac-12 schools, we talk about adding West Coast schools, is that not on this television contract, because it'll have some value here, but on the next television contract, when the television landscape does, I'd assume it's going to look different, right? Because things are moving rapidly right now. in 2030, when the Big 12 is going to, probably be doing this all over again. It's probably when they're going to be negotiating again. In 2030, when they're negotiating again, or before that, maybe 2029, what's going to happen is the Big 12 is going to have a larger time slot portfolio to offer, right? They're going to have more games at different times to offer a variety of TV networks. While this current deal is made up of Fox and ESPN, and yes, there is a chance the future deal is the same, but I think it's more likely that the Big 12, if they get to reach a certain size, becomes kind of this a la carte place. Now, is that best for your conference if you're kind of all over the place? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're in 3 or 4 different spots and the Big 10 is in 3 spots, that's not like the end of the world, right? If you're at ESPN, Fox, and Amazon, it's not the end of the world. If ESPN, Fox, Amazon, and Apple, it's hard to spread yourself pretty far apart. But if they're giving you commensurate value for it, then it's good. I would just say, I still want my A games to be visible. I still want my best stuff to be, to have some high visibility. But once again, I think that it's going to be because the level of competition in the league is what convinced Fox to come on board with a new television contract. So I think that San Diego State, if they're smart, should leverage that fact of the Big 12. Hey, look, you're going to a place that you have not gone yet. We offer you that opportunity. And we, as much as we are ready for this and our number one goal is get to the Power 5, we should still charge a hard-ish bargain to get there. And I don't think the Big 12, is going to necessarily walk from that. I mean, the Pac-12 or the Big 12 is going to take San Diego State. I'm just wondering as what the price is going to be. But it's all about the next television contract. If you're Brett Yormark, you're thinking ahead because you've secured this one. And now we're talking about the future security of the conference. The more teams, the more schools, I should say, that provide you something in terms of television value, the better off, right? And what adds television value? A couple things. I mentioned going into that next time zone. Eyeballs too, obviously, if you're a big viewership, but there's not a whole lot of big viewership schools left available. So what else is going to help your desirability, your viewership compared to other conferences? Well, if the Pac-12 gets weakened and you take their schools, then you are in a better position because how many power leagues are going to be if it's a zombie Pac-12? Well, there's only, at that point, 4.5, right? It's kind of almost a power 4.5 or even a power 4 at that point. Okay, and who can go to market? Well, the SEC can. We know the Big 10 can. The ACC isn't up until 2036. So the Big 10 in 2030, you are one of the conferences that's going to go to market. So you are now more desirable. You have raised your value by doing so. And so that is where the strategy in all of this is coming into play. It is the conversations about what adds television value. And San Diego State at a reduced price, at not a full share, is a thumbs up in my opinion. Once again, my number one focus is adding schools out west, but San Diego State, guys, it's ready to go. It is ready to be there. And I mentioned this, I was reading, this article from Dean Straka, 24/7 Sports, basically saying that, look, they had a $310 million stadium renovation. They won 12 games in football in 2021. They were 7-6 last year, but still 12-game winner then. Also, the San Diego State Aztecs men's basketball team just played for a national championship game. And there's no doubt that with the quality of player they've had come through there, the quality of team that they have, that is a Power 5 caliber program, much like Butler was in the Brad Stevens days. It's one of those that's not in a power conference, but hey, when you see it rise to the top, and go to nobody who's like Butler doesn't belong in the Big East or, a power conference. No, they definitely do belong in a power league. San Diego State football or basketball definitely does. And I think football, they'd be more competitive than some of the teams the Pac-12 has had recently. They'd be more competitive than the Big 12 recently. They have an adjustment period. Sure, they definitely would. So once again, recapping the situation, their AD says, JD Wicker says, hey, we're going to go one of those two places, Big 12 or Pac-12. 2, I think either conference would love to have them. 3, I think the preference is the Pac-12. But 4, it probably means more to the Big 12. And 5, that's kind of a bidding war situation. So I would say JD Wicker's comments are correct. It does feel like they are going to be heading to a power league here sooner or later. That's what makes the most sense. All right, moving on. Our man, Jim Williams, had a tweet today. I think it was a tweet today or yesterday, where he said that he talked to 2 sources over with the Pac-12. They are still confident in a deal. Now they can say all they want to, how their confidence level, they can keep telling us they're confident, whatever they want to do. But he says that, here's a tweet. So over the weekend, I spoke with 2 Pac-12 administrators with knowledge of the ongoing media rights talks. They remain optimistic that a deal will get done to keep everyone together. Also, Apple, Amazon, and 2 unnamed linear outlets remain in talks. So I'm wondering this, folks. If you get to hear that, hey, look, we've got Apple and Amazon, you're going to put those names out. If you're the sources, think of the sources. You're going to put those out there, but you're not going to name the 2 cable ones. Curious to me, why would you not do that? Why would you not name the cable companies there? Is it because, look, when you mention Ion or CW, there is some negative juice there? I think that's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. Am I doubting there's those talks happening? No, I bet they are happening. I bet that those parties are talking together, about the situation. But I think it's okay to be skeptical because these folks from the Pac-12 have been optimistic and they continue to be optimistic. Fair enough, sure. But at what point it's like, why should we believe you all? Because your optimism has been proven wrong several times. This process is taking much longer than you all anticipated it to. Does it mean it's not going to work out? No, it doesn't mean that. But we have to acknowledge the reality that this is taking much longer than they thought, and the deals that they thought they were going to be there with the partners they thought that they were going to be there have not been there. And I think that's why there's trepidation because, hey, if it's Fox and ESPN, you have no problem naming Fox and ESPN. But if it's like the CW and Ion, you're like, yeah, I'm going to keep this one under wraps about who we're talking to, about that part of it. So I think it's interesting that we're hearing Apple and Amazon, but we're not hearing the other ones. I still think ESPN's involved. The reporting indicates that Fox may or may not be involved. I think there have been different thoughts on that front. Once again, different folks saying different things. I don't know what their appetite is personally, but the reporting I trust says that they're probably not. I think that the only thing to contrary that has been like Fox is not involved. It's like, are they involved or not? I don't, at least at this point in time, I don't think they are. They could be one of these TV things, but at least from the reporting, it does not seem like they're big time in this. Also, kind of all encompassing this, guys, we are in May. So like mid-May was our target with this. We are now about 2 weeks out from when I will flip open the case, hit the red button and say, all right. And for me already, I've already mentioned some of like, I would leave if I was a Pac-12 president. I think you've got plenty of justification to say, all right, we're out because we have, we've been here. We put our eggs in this George Kliavkoff basket. He is not delivering right now. He has, we postponed. Still nothing from George K. I'm going to chuck the deuces. We're out of here. I think they've got reason to say that, but they're going to stay strong. And I think there is a general sense that they have not gotten the offer, the deal, the best possible situation yet, the one they can really use as a bedrock to start like negotiating off of. But when is it actually going to come? And their positivity can remain positivity all it wants to, right? Pac-12 administrators can be as positive as they want to. Once again, not saying it's not going to get a deal done, but it just, the momentum, it still feels like, well, it's quiet right now. They have not gained any. Like every single time publicly something has happened, it has felt like it's been followed up by something negative, right? So they have that statement of all together, hey, we're all in this together. Well, there's no mention of George Kliavkoff. The president's come out and we had the bad news of, hey, it's actually not going as well as they thought it was going right now. And the problem with that is we're at a spot now where it's going to take longer. Looking at late spring, now early summer, potentially get a deal done. And folks were overly optimistic. So, I think it's the same place it's always been. It's optimism, but it's not optimism that meets the actual reality of what they want it to be. And look, it depends on which Pac-12 administrators you're talking to. So things are fluid, but I think the big news is they're still talking to folks. It's good they're still in contact. The numbers probably aren't where they want them to be. And they have not got the solid offer yet to kind of build and work off. At least that's my opinion, my read of the situation. And the big news is San Diego State's AD says, hey, we're going to one of the two, but who's it going to be, right? San Diego State is Power Five bound, but who is it going to be? All right, that will do it for today's show. Actually, we'll talk draft more later in the week. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at LOBig12. You guys can find me at JoshNeighbors_. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, like the video, leave your comments as well. Till next time, my friends, as always, stay safe.